Most high school seniors have already decided where they will spend the next 4 years of their education, but some colleges and universities are still fighting to fill up quotas for new students. Undergraduate enrollment dropped 4.5% this term when compared to spring of last year. There were also similar drops in enrollment numbers during the fall of 2020. Executive Director of the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center, Doug Shapiro, is joining us now to take a closer look at what is behind this trend, or this recent drop anyhow. So Doug, explain how these numbers were determined and the role that the pandemic has played in enrollment rates.
Well, these numbers come from the National Student Clearinghouse, which is an independent nonprofit organization. And we work to advance student access and success through data and insights that come from the nation's largest student-level data set of college enrollment and degree information. And these enrollments have declined dramatically due to the pandemic. It's larger than anything that we've seen in years. And it's particularly true among students at community colleges. There's really two very different things going on at four-year institutions compared to the community colleges.
So historically, when the country falls into a recession, undergraduate enrollment generally increases. Why is it different this time?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's right. It increases particularly among older students, though. Graduate students at four-year institutions and older students at community colleges, they come back because when unemployment is high, you're out of work, your opportunity costs are lower, and it's a great time to gain new skills and credentials and prepare for a better job when the economy recovers. And we've seen this at every single recession in the past 20 to 30 years. In fact, in the Great Recession, older students, mostly unemployed workers, increased at community college enrollments by 25%. But that simply did not happen this year. We've seen declines at community colleges in every age group and every demographic.
I guess the question then is why? Because it does seem counterintuitive. If people are losing their job, you don't know how long you don't know how long it's going to last. Like, usually a community college is a safe haven for you to learn new skills, sharpen up the old skills, so that when things turn around, you are at a competitive advantage. And also, community colleges are cheaper too. So why are community colleges taking sort of the hardest hit, nearly 10% fewer students starting this spring semester?
Yeah, it's actually 11% this spring semester, which is steeper than it was 10% in the fall. And I think there are two main reasons. One is, as you suggested, there's a lot of uncertainty about this recession. You remember, back a year ago, people were talking about a V-shaped recession, and everyone thought that all the jobs would magically reappear any month now. And so why would you commit to a degree program or a certificate at a college or university if you thought you were going to be back at work in a matter of weeks? The other side of it is there was so much economic hardship, particularly among the lower income families and students who typically are served by community colleges. I think a lot of families were struggling with just paying rent and buying groceries. And the idea of adding on college tuition to that was just too much.
On the flip side, enrollment in graduate programs, as you were suggesting earlier, increased by more than 4% at both public and private schools this term. Anne-Marie, I went back to graduate school off the back of the last recession in 2008, 2009. That's when I enrolled in graduate school. So I remember thinking about where we were in the grand scheme of things, and I at the time, thought this was a good opportunity to take on some debt while also getting educated. But I'm guessing that there are a lot of people who are like me who have thought about this as well.
Well, you're absolutely right. It's a great time to be taking advantage of the economic slowdown if you already have a bachelor's degree. Like you said about taking on debt, borrowing rates are at historic lows. So the costs are lower, the opportunity costs are lower, particularly students who already have a bachelor's degree. They're in a much better position to take advantage of this. They have been probably working at a well-paying job before the pandemic, and so they're less worried about those month-to-month expenses. It's the educational version of the rich getting richer and the economic divide growing wider.
Oh, that's so fascinating. So we have schools nationwide planning to reopen this fall with in-person classes. Is that expected to boost enrollment, that, people also kind of want that full college experience, and now the option may be coming back?
Well, I think that's certainly true at the four-year institutions, where, a lot of these schools where the last year's freshmen opted to take gap years rather than have to take courses online and forego that traditional freshman on-campus experience. I don't think there's much doubt that those students will be back in school this fall, assuming it's safe to do so. But I think at the community colleges, again, it's a very different story. I worry that for the disadvantaged and low-income students, the longer they stay out, and a year is a long time to be out of school, the harder it will be for many of them to get back into the classroom and back onto the track of seeing themselves as students.
Doug Shapiro, what a fascinating discussion. Thank you for coming on and talking to us about it.
Thank you.